He was trying to run but wasn't getting anywhere. His arms and legs were flailing in the air, but nothing was happening. He couldn't even feel the ground beneath his feet, and there was something wrong with the air. Every time he tried to breathe he ended up coughing, choking. He was slowly suffocating. He looked frantically around him, but on every side it was the same an endless gray expansion. Nothing solid, nothing definite. Just he himself alone floating in a void, dying. He knew he was dead, but he still somehow was. He was floating, his eyes open but seeing nothing, his body turning slowly around and around. There was nothing there but him, but he wasn't exactly there. He heard something quiet, like the sound of an insect scuttling over paper. It slowly got louder. It blossomed into a loud whisper, a human voice speaking to him. "Hennessy," it said. It was a familiar voice. He wished it would speak louder than a whisper, so he could be sure about who it was. "Hennessy," it said again. He heard it close to his other ear, and then in two silently different whispers at once. It wasn't just one voice, he suddenly realized, but legion, all of them whispering, all of them saying his name, "Hennessy, Hennessy, Hennessy," and then spinning around. The gray space around him suddenly didn't look so gray anymore. It was changing, transforming, becoming something else. He knew he was dead, and he couldn't move. All he could do was stay there floating, body spinning slowly about, listening to the voices as the blank gray void that had been there all around him quickly became more and more textured. For a moment it was straightened, run through with creases and lines, and then those shifted and crumpled in a way that reminded him of a human brain. And then these two tightened and shifted, beginning to take a vogue features. It was not a void, he realized, but a tightly packed mass of bodies stuck to one another, fading into one another, all of them dead. He wanted to close his eyes but couldn't. There were thousands of them, maybe more, and as the faces became more and more definite, he began to realize that they were people he knew, all of them dead. There was his wife, there her neck broken from the accident, his mother and father both withered and decrepit just as they had been after a cancer took them, and others, many others, whom he hadn't forgotten, but who, upon noticing them, he knew were all dead. "Hennessy," the word came from one of those open and unmoving maws, like an echo from deep within a cave, but which Hennessy said another. And soon they were all saying it, pressing closer and closer to him, and there was nothing that he could do to stop them. And then their fingers were sliding under the skin, threading through his bone, insinuating their way into him. "Hennessy," someone was yelling. "Hennessy." Something was grabbing him, shaking him. Hands, someone was screaming. Hennessy realized, and then he realized that somebody was him. He lashed out and scrambled backward out of the grip of whatever it was until he struck a wall. It was only then that he was able to stop screaming and considered where he was. A normal room in a Dredge Corp complex in Chicxulub. There was his bed. It was his room. It was okay. He was back in the real world. There was a man bent over near the bed, an ordinary-looking man wearing glasses. "Jesus," said the man. He was covering his nose. Blood was dripping through his fingers and onto the floor. "What did you do that for?" Behind him, Hennessy saw were two larger men. They looked like they might be brothers or even twins. He'd seen all three lurking around at various times within the complex, but never was quite sure what they did. "You want us to rough him up a bit?" said one of the larger men. "Soften him up a little," said the other, and smacked his fist into his palm. "You know we can't do that," said the man with the glasses. "We're just supposed to fetch him." "I'm sorry," said Hennessy to the man with the glasses, confused by what they were saying. "I was having a bad dream. Bad dreams seems to be going around lately. It must have been one hell of a bad one," said the man with the glasses. He tilted his head back and moved his hand away. The bleeding seemed to have mostly stopped. He gave an experimental sniff. "What are you doing here?" Hennessy asked. "We were sent to get you," said the man with the glasses. "Get dressed." "Maybe I'm still dreaming," thought Hennessy. "Get me for what?" he asked. "You're needed elsewhere. Just get dressed and come on. Or do you want me to let Tim and Tom work out some of their nervous energy on you?" They took him down to the dock, Tim and Tom to either side of him, the man with the glasses leading the way. There was a large speedboat there. Dantic, already inside it, seemingly at ease, sitting straight back, his arms crossed. Unlike him, Dantic didn't have an escort. One of the Vogely military men from the freighters was standing with one foot on the dock, the other on the deck, ready to cast off. "Where are you taking us?" Hennessy asked the man with the glasses. He was still rubbing the bridge of his nose. "We were told to bring you to the boat. That's all I know." "Get on," said Tim behind him. "Or do you want us to put you on?" asked Tom. Hennessy scrambled aboard, sat down next to Dantic. The soldier cast off, pushing away from the dock, and scrambled into the pilot's seat. A moment later, the engine was screaming, and they were tearing across the dark water. "Do you know what's going on?" Hennessy asked Dantic over the roar. Dantic gave him a hard, dead look. "We've been activated," he said. "Activated?" wondered Hennessy. "What does that mean?" With the wind and the spray of the water, Hennessy was soon freezing. His teeth were chattering by the time they arrived at the freighter. They climbed out and up the ladder to find Tanner waiting for them on deck. "You made good time," said Tanner to the motorboat pilot. Well done, son." Thank you, sir," the man said. Tanner turned to Hennessy and Dantic. "Well," he said, "I bet you two are wondering what the hell is going on. Come onto the bridge and we'll talk." After Tanner had finished explaining, Hennessy felt there was something wrong. Sure, he was excited to go down to the center of the crater, excited to find out what was there and see where it was from. It could, as Tanner said, be amazing, maybe even the first signs of intelligent extraterrestrial extraterrestrial life, but maybe it was nothing, just an abnormality. He had to try not to get too excited, plus something just didn't add up. Certainly, Dredge Corp wasn't the only one to have detected the object, and even if they were, didn't they have an obligation to report it? Didn't they have to go through proper channels, consult with the Mexican government? Shouldn't it be a joint project, something that Dredge Corp was in on, but which the government controlled, instead of a hurried and sudden operation in the dead of night? No, they were definitely up to no good, and in a way that might have serious consequences. Maybe he was a little naive. Maybe in the past he'd sometimes looked the other way when things were questionable, but he wasn't that naive. He knew that if anything went wrong, it wouldn't be either Tanner or Dredge Corp that got stuck with the blame, but he and Dantic Dredge Corp would cut them loose without a second thought. He looked over to Dantic, who turned and met his gaze. He seemed as cool as ever, his gaze dead, his eyes predatory. He doesn't care, Hennessy realized. He'll do whatever he's asked. So Hennessy took a deep breath and turned to Tanner. Why at night? He asked. Why not? Said Tanner. The F7 has lights. You'd have to use them anyway once you got far enough down, and would definitely have to use them once you start digging. I don't think that's what he's asking, said Dante coolly. No, said Tanner. What's he asking then? If it's illegal. Is that right? Said Tanner, turning to Hennessy. Is that what you're asking? Hennessy hesitated a moment, then nodded. It just seems a little odd to me, he said. Isn't all this whole crater owned by Mexico? Wouldn't it have been leased by a local retrieval or organization? And what's going on with the crew of this freighter? Are they military or not? If they are, why aren't they wearing uniforms? Whose side are they on? If they're not, then what the hell is going on? You don't need to think about that, said Tanner. I'm handling all the details. There's no reason for you to worry, but we're the ones who will bear the brunt of it if things go wrong, said Hennessy. Tanner didn't say anything. Aren't I right? Asked Hennessy, appealing to Dantic. Shouldn't we be worried? Don't you have a problem with this? Dantic said nothing. Hennessy turned back to Tanner. Shouldn't I be worried? He asked. Tanner said, I've already given you an answer. Hennessy sighed. Look, said Tanner, don't you want to be in on this? It could be extremely important, but that's not to say there aren't some risks. You have to decide for yourself, Hennessy. If you don't want to go, you don't have to go, but you have to decide right now. Hennessy hesitated a long time. Whatever this was, legal or not, it was big, important. He couldn't trust Tanner, but then again, he couldn't really trust anybody at Dredge Corp. He'd known that when he signed on, but he'd always managed to avoid getting into scraps before. Whether what they were doing was legal or not, he told himself he could make sure that his part in it was legal. Besides, if things got too bad, he could walk later. He'd go along with them, but he wouldn't trust Tanner as far as he could throw him. He finally nodded. Good, said Tanner. Off you go then, the both of you.